This is a video for Math 105. It is section 1.6, and I'm going to do some problems involving absolute value. This is the group worksheet that I would normally do face-to-face. So a copy of this worksheet is pasted in the other materials for, I think it's week 4. You can work on that first and then, watch me solve it if you'd like. Okay, so number 1. We're trying to do the expression the absolute value of 1 less than 3 times a number. So notice 3x minus 1, that's 1 less than 3 times a number, and we're doing the absolute value of that. So it's like take 1 less than 3 times a number and then find the absolute value. Okay, first question, when will that be 0? So when it equals 0, well, the opposite of 0 is still 0. So there's really only one thing to do. When it equals 0, you just change it to parentheses and then solve. So add 1 to both sides, 3x equals 1, divide both sides by 3, and x is 1/3. Okay, so the solution set is 1/3. Pretty easy. It's nice when it's set to 0. Okay, what if we do the same thing, but it equals 5? Well, since the opposite of 5 is not the same as 5, we really have kind of 2 pieces to solve. So we have 3x minus 1 in parentheses equals 5, or 3x minus 1 in parentheses is the opposite of 5, minus 5. Because absolute value doesn't matter whether it's positive or negative. So if it's positive, then we've got add 1 to both sides, 3x equals 6, divide both sides by 3, and we get x equals 2. If it's negative, add 1 to both sides, 3x equals minus 4, divide both sides by 3, x is minus 4/3, aka minus 1 1/3. And so the solution set is minus 1 1/3 or minus 4/3 and 2. So there's 2 values of x that satisfy that equation. Again, if it's 0, you just solve it for 0. If it's not 0, you have to kind of split it up between the number and its opposite. Okay, so what happens if it's minus 1? Well, it's the same thing. You split it up, either equals whatever that is, or it equals the opposite of whatever that is. And the opposite of negative 1 is just 1. So here add 1 to both sides, and you get 3x equals 0. Divide both sides by 3. 0 divided by 3 is still 0. Here, notice the opposite of negative 1 is just 1. Add 1 to both sides, 3x equals 2. Divide both sides by 3. You get x is 2/3. So it's x is 0 or 2/3. Okay, so when solving this type of absolute value, just remember that it's really kind of 2 cases, because it doesn't distinguish between it being positive or negative. Okay, so let's look at something slightly different. What if instead of the absolute value of 1 less than 3 times a number, what if we have 1 less than the absolute value of, it should be 3 times a number, sorry. Okay, well, again, if it's, well, we need to first solve for the absolute value. So the first step for all of these is just going to be to solve for the absolute value. In other words, the first step for all of these is going to change them to what happens when you add 1 to both sides. Okay, because in order to split it up, we want just the absolute value by itself. So isolate the absolute value first, and then you split it up. So I get 3x equals 1, or 3x equals minus 1. So here, divide by 3, x is a third, or x is minus 1/3. So x is same thing here, 3x equals 6, or 3x equals minus 6. So x equals 2, or x equals minus 2. Here, since it's 0 and minus 0 is just 0, we only have to do 1. 3x equals 0, divide both sides by 3. Keep in mind 0 divided by 3 is still 0, x equals 0. Okay, so solving absolute values, isolate to get the absolute value expression by itself. Then you split it into cases where it's either it's plus or minus the other side. Notice plus or minus 0 is just 0, so you only have one case in the case of equals 0. Let's see. I want to show another way to do this, but I think I'll do that on a different video, basically doing this graphically. Okay, so this is quick worksheet 1.6.